Coastal Stars family, welcome. Stars and Strikes Weekly. We're going to talk about some recent signings. Shout out some more stars that have been shining. Also, going to talk about the upcoming Intersquads as the stars tune up. Then, we're going to get into our catching philosophy. Word on the street is we might need one or two. And then lastly, we're going to check in with Coach Cal live. But first, to intro the show, we are going to recognize our top 10 active leaders in hits. Starting at number 10, we got JT Barkley. At number 9, we got Taven Harden. Coming in at number 8, we have Hunter Jordan. At number 7, we got Christian Hewitt. At number 6, we got CJ Pena. At number 5, we got Jonathan Jet Turner. At number 4, we got Quentin Q Peterson. At number 3, we got Tate Evans. Oh, we gotta take him off active. At number 2, we got Evan Diaz. And rounding out that top spot at number 1, we got Gray McLean. Ladies and gentlemen, the stars are hot. Hey, welcome.
Fireworks.
Hope everyone is doing well.
What's up, everybody?
Shout out to everybody in the chat. Make sure you like for the algorithm. Push it out to all your teammates, all your friends, and all your family. How are you doing, Coach Justin?
I'm good, Josh. How are you, man?
We have a great show today.
Yep.
We have a really fun show. Got a couple surprises as well. Coach Justin doesn't even know about them. Coach Justin's also doing a little contest here.
That's right.
Tell him real quick about the contest.
For sure. I got it right here, as a matter of fact. You'll see the shirt I'm wearing. I got extras. We've had, 6 or 7 questions, maybe less than that, maybe 4 or 5 already have been submitted. But we're going to pick our favorite question that's asked by the viewers. It could be a parent or a player, doesn't matter. Whoever asks us the coolest question that we get to talk about on the podcast gets this t-shirt. So we're going to make it happen. Obviously, make sure your questions are podcast appropriate. You will be kicked from the chat and you will not be allowed to watch anymore.
Right.
So
shout out to Jaden Daniels coming in the chat.
Shout out to
Elon. Yeah. Shout out to Elon,
What's
Coastal
up,
Stars
Elon?
Graduate in the chat as well.
We got Hudson. What's up, Huddy?
Yep. So what's up, guys? Hope you guys are doing well. So yeah, let's get right into it. First up, we have our recent signings. So the cool thing about your job, Justin, is when players sign, you get to go see them on signing day. We even had a couple guys commit this past weekend. So we just want to do a quick little shout out for all the guys who have recently signed. So right here you see that's Tyrese Robinson at Dublin High School. You had a chance to make it out to his signing.
No, unfortunately, I did not.
Oh, you didn't?
No,
so you just sent that picture
I had
in?
just gotten out of the shower. I was putting my clothes on,
Yeah.
and my wife goes, "Hey, I don't think you should go." She's 39 weeks pregnant. And that night we had a baby. So sorry, Tyrese.
Good call.
I couldn't go. Yeah, no, it was crazy. We had 3 signings and I couldn't go to any of them. But
Man, that's wild.
Tyrese was on Tuesday.
Yep. The next guy is a guy we talked about because we talked about Tyrese last week, and this is the other guy we talked about pretty heavily, Parker Landrum.
Yep.
Signing to Thomaston University down there at Bainbridge. So
that's right.
Shout out to him. And then we had a couple guys commit last week. So I wanted to pull these in. Had Braden Ross, infielder that played with us last summer.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had one of our guys, Chris McGill.
Big Chris.
Yep, signing to Claflin, that's Peach Belt, isn't it? I think they're in the Peach Belt now.
I think so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they are.
Daniel Young is pitching for them too.
Oh, awesome.
Did you know that? Yeah, he'd been pitching with them this year. I hadn't looked at his stats lately, but yeah. So second guy in a few years who going to play at Claflin. So congrats to Chris.
I love it. That's good baseball out there for sure. Yep. And then wanted to shout out Tyler Knight. We said he had committed last week, but we hadn't quite made the graphic, so I wanted to make sure his graphic made it in. And then there was him signing there, going to play for his dad down in Middle Georgia.
That's
so
right.
Shout out to them. I love it. I love it. So that is it for our recent signings. So let's now go ahead. Let's get into our practice recap. The Stars are back in business. Just tell us just your raw thoughts about just like how practice went, and what you saw from our guys.
Yeah, so I told this to a lot of the players. I was really frustrated because of the weather.
Yeah, it was wild.
Because we had it on Saturday, and I didn't want to do anything on Mother's Day. Right, because it's Mother's Day, obviously. And then the forecast was just bad all weekend. And so we moved it indoors, and so, had to shuffle everything around and make sure we had the space, and, everybody was ready to go. And then for the first 5 hours of practice, I'm just looking out the window and there's no rain. So that's the worst. But we got it in, and we made the best of it, I think. The guys we still covered a ton of stuff. We talked about the plays, the signs, all the stuff that they needed to know and that we would have gone over at the practice if we would have been on the field. But you got to roll with the punches. So I thought it went pretty good overall. What do you think?
I thought it went very well, especially for what we had. But I thought it was really productive. We got to really be with the kids and break down their swings probably a little more than we would in a traditional setting. So I think that was a bonus because I work with several kids, just breaking down. And I saw you and Cal doing the same thing as well in your cages. And so I think that was good because that's something that we don't really get to do often unless it's like right before a game. And right before a game, obviously you have the added, pressure of like, we got to hurry up and get these guys ready for a game, unless they come like really early for, early work and stuff like that. And so I thought it was really good from that perspective. Obviously, when you're going over like plays and stuff, you want to be on the field. So it was kind of like a classroom setting where, the guys had to just, sit there for 30, 40 minutes and, just hear a lesson essentially.
Right.
But
yeah, that was the part that I didn't love being inside for, but you're right. Like I didn't really think about it, but one of the positives is they probably got a lot more swings.
Right. Yeah.
One-on-one with one of our coaches than they would have if we were on the field. Like we would have hit on-field BP and it would have been great to see the ball fly and to get ground balls. And to get to throw, probably more extensive bullpens than we had because we only had two bullpens, in the facility. But yeah, there were some positives.
Right.
So, and we still got to go over most of the stuff, and I think we're going to be just fine.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll dive into a couple more things a little bit later, but I got a chance to catch up with a couple of our players in Wills Gates and Preston Flores. So
let's take a look.
Yeah, let's take a look at that.
I love it.
On Wills.
Doing good.
All right, we are at our first practice. You see, we are actually indoors back at Ballers because we got some rain. It actually held off for the first part of the day, but it finally came in the latter half. But Wills, how are you feeling about being back in the Coastal Stars uniform?
A lot of new players. The team's looking good. We have a lot of new pitchers. Everyone was pretty consistent with throwing strikes, and I think we can hit too.
Awesome. What are you looking forward to most going into this summer?
I'm looking forward to, spending some time with my new team and just win some games.
Win some games. I like it. Anything you want, any goals that you have for this summer that you want to accomplish personally?
Yeah, ERA under 3.
Thank you for coming by, Wills. We're here with my boy, Preston. What are you looking forward to most about this season? Come over just a little bit. Right there. Cool. Here, talking.
Well, I don't know, just the experience of playing in like high level tournaments against like high level people with high level coaches and high level teammates. I keep saying high level, but yeah, just playing at a better level, and I just want to overall get better.
Yeah, I love it. That's our whole motto is get better and get seen. And so, yeah, you are right. All of our coaches have played at a high level, like you were saying, at least college baseball. Some of them have played professional. And a lot of these players are hope to, you know, aspire to do the same thing as well. So do you have any goals personally for the summer?
Just get better in like every way. I have a showcase later in the summer, so I want to get better for that. But just in general, like get better at kind of like everything.
Awesome. I love to hear it. Well, thank you for stopping by, Preston.
Thank you, sir.
Preston Flores, Coastal Stars family. All right, I'm with our pitching coach. Just finished his last season at Emmanuel College. Mr. Hunter had him on the podcast last weekend. How are our pitchers look? First time getting to see a lot of our guys, and how did they look overall?
I'm not gonna lie, pretty shocked. They look good. They look really good. A lot of strikes, a lot of guys who can command different pitches, which is important for travel ball. So really exciting. They look good.
Awesome. Yeah, and then going in, of course, you're a pitcher, but you're going to be the head coach of an overall team. So what are you looking forward to most about your team? Like, what are you excited for?
I'm excited to build relationships with all the guys first and foremost, but watching them grow throughout the year, just kind of helping them reach their next step of baseball, whatever that is.
Awesome. Last thing, any goals going into the summer that you want to accomplish for your team or personal, what have you?
Goal is to compete in every single game. Don't have to win every game, but at least compete and put our best foot forward and give it all we got the whole year. So.
I love it. Coach Hunter, everybody, thanks for tuning in, Coastal Stars family. We got the man, Cal Gentry. All right, so yeah, it just kept playing. I had it on loop, I guess. But before we get to Cal's, I just wanted to go over and talk about Coach Hunter's reaction. He was like, man, like these pitchers look pretty good, you know?
Yeah.
And that's actually something I was talking about with your dad. I saw him at church yesterday and I was like, hey, I didn't get a chance to talk to you about the pitchers. I was like, how'd they look? And he said, man, they look good.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I don't say that lightly because, you know, Coach Randy's coaching at Houston County. And so he's used to, you know, a certain, you know, guys, you know, that are generally going to play D1 baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, our guys look good. Of course, like, we don't have guys throwing like low 90s, but we had guys that could command the zone and had feel for their pitches, which I think is huge. And he was just amazed at the growth year over year that we're having, especially in the pitching department.
Yeah, no, I think you're exactly right. That's a big thing. Is growth year to year is super important. And also, I can't forget this. Today is Wills Gates' birthday.
Yes, shout out to Wills.
I think he's watching American Idol right now.
Yeah, because this guy.
Yeah,
this guy.
Wills also has a buddy. What did he say? His cousins.
It was like his cousin's
his friend's cousin.
Friend's cousin's.
Yeah, something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
But shout out to Wills. It's his birthday today. Wills is the man.
Yes.
Can't wait to see Wills swing it and throw it from the left side this summer. But
Love
yeah,
it.
no, Preston, that was a great interview too. And also, you guys that are watching, whoever wants to get on the podcast, you guys let us know.
Yeah.
Like, we're doing some cool stuff. If you guys want to hop on for an interview, you know, do an interview with Coach Josh at the Intersquads,
Mhm.
y'all drop a comment. Like
Yeah.
let us know if you guys have a good idea, because I love it. Those were so cool. And then, like you said, with Coach Hunter, he was shocked. He's like, they actually look pretty good.
Yeah.
And so that's a great sign. Hunter's got a lot of good pitching experience. So.
Yeah. And that's just another thing. I think we're executing, you know, we set the goal of really unifying and try to make it a family this year. And I think we're doing that really well. And when you have that atmosphere, I think the kids can come in and they're just playing ball, you know, because they're comfortable. It's like, oh, I'm with my boys, I'm with my family. Everything, there's no like added stress or pressure, right? Whereas, you know, sometimes you get on a summer ball team, you don't really know the coach, you don't really know the players, and you're like, I'm only out here because I'm trying to get a scholarship. And then that's the only thing that's weighing on you.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, it's a game.
Yeah.
And you just got to go out there and play that same game you've been playing since you were a little boy.
Yeah,
So,
for sure. And I think a great sign of that is like we've already had two guys in the chat tonight, Parker and Elon.
Yeah.
They're not playing this summer, but like here they are. They're tuned in for the podcast. That's
Yeah.
super cool.
Yep. Shout out to Parker saying
But yeah,
stars
what's
on
up,
top.
Parker? We got
Yep.
Caden Hogan in the chat too. What up, Q?
Yep. Caden Hogan saying what is up. And we had Elon. We shouted him out earlier, but yeah, it's beautiful to see. It's beautiful to see. Yeah, we touched briefly about the hitters earlier. What did you see from our hitters? We talked about like, yeah, we got to, work with them a little more personally than normal, just being out on the field. What did you see from our hitters?
Yeah, obviously there's a wide range. Like there's some guys that need a lot of work, in different areas, and then there were some guys that stood out, like guys that really swung it well, and a couple guys like I think it was the first time I'd seen them in person. So yeah, I have to pull up the rosters. I can't remember all of them off the top of my head, but like I know Jackson Thompson was really swinging it. Keaton Teal impressed me too, one of the new guys who's going to be on the 15U team. So there was some really cool stuff, and then like I saw Cal and I saw you working with the guys on their swings too. So that was awesome to see. But yeah, overall, I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
So.
Now we're about to interview Cal live, but we also got to catch up with him at the first practice, and he gave his perspective on how he saw our hitters and a little bit about, his expectations moving forward into the Intersquads. So y'all take a look. Gentry himself. I know your arm's hanging because you threw a lot of BP. How did our hitters look?
They look really well. It's always a good day when I feel like I can't throw anymore. So we got a lot of work in today. So that's really good leading up to the Intersquads this weekend. So hopefully there at the end it was still good enough to to be productive.
Yeah, I love it. And you mentioned the Intersquads that are coming up this upcoming week. What are you looking forward to most about, obviously we're indoor because of the weather today. What are you looking forward to most about being outdoors and actually getting to see these hitters live?
Yeah, just being able to see how they handle certain situations, really kind of tell me what kind of IQ they have, how they handle pressure. And so really just being able to see overall as a player how good they are. Because, you can watch them in here and you can see the swing and everything, but it's always just different once you start facing a live pitcher.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of just live, the hitter-pitcher scenario, talk about like some of the approach that they can take from the cage out into, a live situation.
Really, first and foremost, just hit the fastball. A lot of these kids nowadays they want to hit the breaker and everything. Just hit the fastball. The fastball is the best pitch to hit in baseball. It's the easiest pitch to hit in baseball.
Right.
So why challenge yourself with trying to hit a breaker when you can just sit and wait for the fastball? Because they're going to throw you at least one. But really just focus backside. A lot of these kids, they're wanting to pull the ball. They want to show off, which is great, but how you really get the attention of college scouts is being able to just spray the ball everywhere. Me and you both know we were both those guys that could spray it everywhere, and we got a lot of attention because of that.
Right.
So just really getting these players to not so focus on pulling the ball and trying to hit for power, but just spraying around, getting some base hits. So.
Awesome. Well, great answers, Cal. Looking forward to getting our guys out on the field next weekend. And thanks for stopping by. Until next time, Coastal Stars family. What's up, guys? Coastal Stars family here. All right. So that was Coach Cal just talking about, a little bit of the approach. Hit the fastball, guys.
Yeah.
And that's something we've preached forever.
Yeah. We talked about our hitting philosophy a couple weeks ago.
Right.
And the first thing was swing the bat. And I loved what Cal said there. One of the things I tell guys is like I love doing this too, like in the on deck circle, like they're watching the pitcher. And like when you're 15, like, dude, you're going to get a first pitch fastball away.
Yes.
Like 90% of the time.
It might be higher.
And like the kid might throw a good curveball in warm-ups, and then they look at the dugout like, oh, did you see that? Curveball? He's got a good curveball. And I'm like, hey, dude, you want to know the best way to hit that curveball? They're like, what is it, coach? I'm like, don't miss the fastball. Yeah. That's the best way to do it. You're going to get a heater, bro. Just be ready for it, be on time for it, and hit it.
Yeah, and plus, like a lot of those kids don't have the command to throw 3 breakers in a row.
Yeah,
and if they do, then okay, all right, chalk it up. Yeah. But, you're just rarely going to see a guy that can just spin it like that very consistently, especially at this age. Even at the 17U, you're not going to see too many guys that can do that.
Yep.
So, but yeah, let's get into, I think that's a perfect segue into our Intersquads that are coming up. So why do we do the Intersquads? We just talked about practice. We went over our plays. And granted, normally we're out on the field, but it was condensed. But now we get after it on the field. So talk to the people about Intersquads.
Yeah, so first and foremost, like it depends on the year. Year to year it changes, but we always try to do them at a college campus. So like one of the things I'm actually doing right now is working to get coaches at Scout Day. And so like today was actually a big day where I text a lot of college coaches like, hey, here's our Scout Day schedule. Would love to have you guys out. Coach Belcher at Georgia College was one of them. Casey Brown is their assistant. And so I texted them today actually. But we like to do it on the college campus because a lot of times one of their coaches is going to be there. And so I can already be like, hey, like check out these couple of guys that look really good, or hey, this kid, like what do you guys need in the 2026 class or whatever. And so we do it at a college campus. We always try to do as much stuff as we can, at a college. So it's going to be there. And then it's really about, this is the first time we get to see the guys play. And like we've already talked about, it's challenging when you have these guys from Tennessee like Wills Gates or South Georgia like Parker Landrum.
Right.
And they come together, they play together. And there's going to be some things we got to iron out, and we got to figure out who needs to play where on what teams. And then obviously it's a lot of good reps too. And so we get to kind of do some warm-up stuff, some BP. We got to figure out exactly how we're going to structure it before the game starts.
Right.
Because we didn't, it was a little different this year since we weren't on field for practice.
Exactly.
So we're going to talk about that with our coaches meeting, but really it's about seeing the guys get the reps, allow all of our coaches to see all the players in game. And that just gives us a better chance to correctly, align and structure the rosters and the lineups for that first tournament.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. It's really good for them to be able to, like you said, they were in class this past week, but now like in a live game scenario, we might be calling some of the plays, first and third scenarios. And they're gonna have to put that into practice without really having that walkthrough. And so everything's kind of sped up a little bit just because we didn't get on the field from a defensive perspective.
Right.
But I guess that just gives an advantage to the offense. So hopefully we can bring the bats and bring a little thunder with the bats. So.
Yeah, that's right. And one of the things too, like you guys will see at the Intersquads, like we're going to call the plays, we're going to call the first and thirds, and we're going to botch them. We're going to mess them up.
Yeah.
And so then I'm going to be like, freeze, everybody right here, right now. Let's talk about it. And then we're going to talk about it real quick, and then we're going to keep playing. And so like it's way better to learn those things and make those mistakes at the Intersquads as opposed to playing against a really good team in one of these tournaments. And so that's really what it's all about.
Yeah, I love it. All right, now let's move into our next segment. We're talking about the catching philosophy. Like, what makes a good backstop, Justin?
Yeah, so we've got a catching philosophy. I try to send it out to all of our catchers. I used to have a catchers only group me that I made all the catchers join. I don't know if I did it last year. I can't really remember. But we've got a philosophy, and all you catchers, I might just throw it in the group me tonight. They should all read it. When I was with the Angels, one of the things that made me valuable, that kind of kept me around while other guys were, a few other guys in my position, similar players, similar positions got released, is I played third, I played short, I played second, I played first. I could play a little bit of left field if they needed me to. And then they started catching me too. And so I picked up on a few catching things then, which was cool, but then unfortunately COVID hit. But the catching stuff is super important. Like there debatably might not be a more important defensive position.
Right.
He's the only guy besides the pitcher who's involved in every single pitch of every single game. And so the catching philosophy is something that I developed. I don't know, you don't have it queued up or anything, do you?
I can pull it up, but I do have I have it broken down. So I mean, basically starting with receiving and framing. We'll just take it step by step.
Yeah. So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about this is how catchers impact every single pitch. And if you look at it in today's game, it's really interesting because we have metrics. Like we can look at the big league catchers and we can see which catcher has stolen the most strikes this year. And we can see which catcher has caused their pitchers to lose the most strikes. And by far, the biggest impact, maybe not by far, but the biggest impact, I think, for catchers is how you receive pitches. And, at the younger ages, 14, 15, it's not as important. Like, you got to have pitchers who can command before you really focus on receiving. But a catcher that can steal strikes is a game changer. And that's why you'll see it in the college game. You'll see it in the professional game. Sometimes the catchers aren't necessarily the best hitters on the team, but they find a lot of their value as players because of how much they help the pitchers. And they do that by stealing strikes and receiving well and calling a good game.
Yeah, like I know one big metric in Major League Baseball, especially for, I mean, defenders in general, but specifically for catchers, is defensive runs saved. Is like how many runs are you saving per game to help your team? And if your catcher, is elite at that and elite at stealing, strikes, like they're gonna play. It doesn't matter if they're, almost hitting, at 100, in the hundreds, but they're going to be out there because they can command it. Like a good example is like David Ross. Every time, who was it? John Lester, I think.
He was pitching for the Cubs for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was every time John Lester pitched,
he
David Ross.
He had to throw to
yeah,
David
because
Ross.
and it started because they were in Boston together, and probably what prolonged David Ross's career was that relationship with John Lester. Because once he went to the Cubs, and then he became kind of a Cubs legend, and I think he's a manager. Is he still a manager for?
I think he is.
He was managing a big league club. I think he was managing the Cubs at one point. But yeah, that just goes to show you like just how valuable just defensive metrics are, because a lot of times we put so much emphasis on, can you hit, average, all this other stuff, but it's like there's different things and specifically different positions that can impact the game, tremendously, that people overlook all the time.
Right. Yeah. If you're a first baseman and you're not really swinging it that good, like somebody might take your spot. But like if you're the best catcher, like you can receive and you can block, you can throw guys out, and you're not hitting that much, as a coach, I'm like,
yeah, that play.
He's doing all right.
Yeah.
He's probably gonna stay in the lineup. But yeah, no, and we talk about receiving, like I've talked to a lot of our catchers about this, and one of the things too is like it's hard for us to have enough time to get into a lot of the details for some of the finer aspects of the game.
Right.
Like when we talk about receiving, like you need to start with your, you need to present the target, the glove should then relax, and then you catch everything on the way up, right? The easiest strike to steal is the low one, the one at the knees.
Yeah.
Because you can catch it on the way up, and it's harder for the umpire to see over you to really see how low that pitch is, right? And so that's why you see all the big league catchers and all the college catchers, they go here, and then they drop it,
they work back
and
up.
they catch it on the way back up.
Yeah.
And you can move that ball a few inches. And that's what allows us to trick umpires. They're not robots. At least they're not yet. So
not yet. Yeah.
They're not yet. So you can still trick them. But yeah, and then, staying athletic is huge. Like you'll see too, like the one knee down stance is everywhere now. It's a completely different game because 20, 30 years ago, guys they didn't know how to steal strikes like we do now. They didn't know what visually affects umpires like we do in today's game. That's why when you watch big league games, like all the catchers almost are on one knee down. And it's a little different sometimes with runners in scoring position. Like, yes, you still have to be able to block, but when the pitchers get to a certain level where they can command their pitches, your job is to catch them and make them look good. And that's your number one job.
I love it. I think who started the whole framing revolution, I believe it was Johnny Bench, Hall of Famer Johnny Bench. I think he was like one of the first guys to be like, no, like this is what I actively do. Don't quote me on that, but I believe I know it's a Hall of Fame catcher that kind of started that whole revolution. But
yeah, y'all let Coach Josh know in the chat if he's
somebody look that up. I could be completely wrong.
I think framing has always been important. We use that term framing, and now I think it. I might use the word receiving more often.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of evolved. Like it's always been important, like that you catch the ball and like you stick it, and like we used to talk about, like you can turn it a little bit or whatever. But now, like it's not nearly as important as the pitcher needs that target there the whole time. Like you used to see all the catchers, they would just hold it right there forever, and then they just try to catch it.
Yeah.
Now it's target. Now I got to get down here so I can catch everything on the way back up.
Yes.
Because pitchers typically do the best when they're at the knees or below, right? And so that's why they do that. That's why they want those low targets, and that's why they need to steal the low strikes.
I love it. All right.
So,
let's go to the next part of the catching philosophy, blocking.
Blocking. Yeah. So we already talked about it a little bit. Let me pull up our philosophy. So when I send this out to our players, like obviously players, there's a lot of stuff in here. It's like 2 or 3 pages. So you guys should read some of this stuff. And, from a basic standpoint, there's a few things that I, try to teach when I talk to catchers. The first thing you have to do is lead with the glove. And so like the first second reaction to seeing a pitch in the dirt, it's got to be like you got to get your glove down, and then obviously everything kind of collapses on top of that. And it takes a ton of athleticism. Like it's like we talk about this stuff like it's easy. Like, I don't know if there's anything harder to do in sports than to block and play catcher well.
Yeah, because like of course, the only benefit you have is knowing what pitch is coming, and that's if you don't get crossed up.
Oh yeah,
But then you have to execute on the fundamentals of catching, receiving, and blocking, and what have you, which is no easy task at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so after that, I've got replace your feet with your knees. So then obviously you become like a goalie, right?
Right.
And then after that, it's all about posture. So you've got to have your forward lean so that the ball, when it hits your chest, it stays right here. If you're up tall like this, it can kick left and right or kick way off. So you've got to almost have that posture where you're leaning over home plate. And then after that, you've just got to fight for it. And, there's a lot of drills and stuff that kids can do now, where players can do, where they work on their hip mobility, where they can slide, where they can pivot and do all those things. I was never able to do those. I got a bad hip on one side. So my catching days wouldn't have been long, just regardless of COVID.
Right.
But it's so valuable. When you find a player who can do that, like that makes your value as a defender just crazy high.
I love it. All right. And now let's talk about something, leadership, hustle, awareness. How does that all embody a good catcher?
Man, so catchers are like the quarterbacks, and the guy on the screen right there is JT Barkley, who was a high school quarterback. I don't know if he's playing anymore. JT, if you're listening, let me know in the chat. I was texting him today. I don't know if he's still playing football or not. But I know his 9th and 10th grade years, he was quarterback at his school.
Right.
I don't think they won a lot of football games.
Yeah.
But the catcher on the baseball field is like a quarterback. He has to have leadership. He has to know exactly what's going on. He's got to know all the plays. He has to know the entire pitching staff. He's got to know what pitches guys throw well and what pitches they want to throw in what situations. He's got to know everything, right? And he's the only player on the entire field who can see everything. Everybody else, they got to look around to see the whole field. There's only one guy who can see the entire field, and it's the catcher. And so I've got 20 different bullet points of things that elite catchers do. And we probably don't have time to go through all of them. But there's a lot of stuff. Vocal shit, being vocal, taking ownership, knowing the pitchers, hustling to back up first base, blocking any pitch at any time, never getting caught off guard by delayed steals, understanding field conditions, how to turn your back on the infield pop-up, how to communicate on the foul balls down the line. Like, that's not even half of them. And so there's a lot of stuff in there. Catchers, I'll send this in the group me. I might send it. I'll probably send it after the podcast. I got too much going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a ton of stuff. And so that's one of the things that we want to talk about tonight is like how important that position really is.
All right. Now, yeah, I love it. Anything to add for our catching segment?
I think that's about it. We were looking for some catchers. I had 2 or 3 guys reach out today. So we're going to have some catching options. One of them probably going to end up on your team.
Oh, perfect.
So is there anything you want to say to your potential catchers?
No, biggest thing I look for just in any player in general, but especially just like we talked about, the catcher is a quarterback. He's commanding stuff. Is you just have to be that guy. Like it's not a position where you can kind of be timid at all. Like you have to own it and you have to be that guy. Even if you're not the most vocal person or the most outgoing person, when you're behind that dish, like you just got to be the captain.
Yeah.
And a good example is the guy who played for me this past fall, KP Andrews, was very, very good at being vocal, saying like this, saying that, and really encouraging his guys when he was out on the field. Now, did he make some bonehead mistakes sometimes, or maybe get overzealous about
backpicking or something,
or whatever? Yeah,
sure.
Just doing things. Yes, but that's what we want to see. We want to see aggressive mistakes. And that's what I want to see in my catcher is you being the aggressor, because most of the time, the people who get in the box and are more aggressive, the people who are laying out, not afraid to make, aggressive mistakes, they're the ones who end up having success.
Yeah, no doubt. Larry McConnell with a great comment in the chat here. He says, tell Zach you'll get him some cheeseburgers and he will block anything. Cal, Zach is a catcher on your team. So you might need to keep a couple cheeseburgers in your coaching bag.
That's hilarious.
Love that.
That's so funny. All right. Also, in other news, shout out to Jaden Daniel and Lowndes County and the boys. I know Trace Harrell's on that team.
Yep.
Trace is telling me he's been DHing a little bit as well. So shout out to them guys. They're playing in the Final Four. They are playing. I forgot who they told me they were playing, but they got a pretty tough matchup this coming up week. They play tomorrow, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, we'll talk about more about the matchups here soon. They're playing Etowah.
Etowah, yeah.
Etowah's really good.
Yeah, they're really good.
We'll talk about more about the high school stuff. We got guys still playing at different levels, so we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Shout out to Jaden and all the Lowndes guys.
Now is the moment that you have all been waiting for. We got Mr. Cal Gentry standing by on the line, and
you want me to go over his bio real quick?
Yeah. Let's do a good intro. Yeah.
All right, we got Cal. He's ready. He's on deck right now. He's waiting to hop in with us. I think we talked about him week 1 on the podcast, maybe of this year. So I won't hit every bullet point. But Cal played at Georgia College, the college we're going to be at Saturday. And Cal told me that he knows where every single pebble is on that infield. So he spent, I guess it was 5 years with a COVID year for him.
Yeah, he did. He got trapped in that 2020.
Yeah. So he got extra year. So he was there for 5 years. He holds a ton of their records. 2-time Peach Belt Conference batting title winner. He's got the most career hits in Georgia College history in the NCAA era.
That's insane.
And then there's a whole other list of his accolades. All tournament teams, all conference, all that stuff. I won't get into that. Let's get him on here. Let's ask him some questions. Without further ado, we got Mr. Cal Gentry.
What's up, Cal?
There he is.
What's up, guys?
What's up, man? Also, a reminder, Cal will be with us through the Q&A section. So if you want a chance to win a t-shirt, make sure you are asking some questions. We will save them and answer them in the Q&A portion coming up here soon. But yeah, Cal, tell us how you're feeling. Fresh off of a county championship. You coach the Fagan Mill 7th graders, correct?
I do, yeah.
Yep. So you won that last week. So how are we feeling?
Feeling great, It's a good start off to the summer. We got 6 days now left of school, and I'm ready to get rocking and rolling with some more baseball. So
I love it.
Yes, sir. And one thing I'll say about Cal too, this is pretty funny. I turned my hat around backwards. I was gonna wear it the other way, but if I were to turn it back around, I think me and Cal might favor a little bit. I had one of my 14 you guys texted me. He texted me like 20 minutes ago and said, "Me and my mama have been arguing for a minute about this, and I know it's weird, but is this you or a different coach?" And he sent me the picture of the YouTube thumbnail we got for this video.
Oh, that is hilarious.
Yeah. So me and Cal do favor, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, because y'all
really
have
funny.
like the same facial hair, kind of same face shape too.
Yeah, pretty funny. So no, that's actually Coach Cal in that picture. That's not me.
That's great. That is
funny.
awesome.
At the practice, I actually had somebody come up to me and was like, "Coach Justin." I was like, "Nope, wrong guy."
Nope. Next guy.
Yeah, I'll pretend to be you and you can pretend to be me. We can trade sometime.
That is hilarious.
Yeah, good stuff. All right. So what we got lined up for you tonight, Cal, and like Coach Josh said, everybody, players, we need some more comments or questions. Excuse me. We need some more questions from you guys in the chat. I've got 4 or 5, maybe 6 questions lined up now. I still got a few more coming. But players, whoever asks our favorite question tonight's getting this T-shirt. But speaking of questions, Cal, the first thing we're going to do is lightning round. Okay. So Cal has no idea what we're about to ask him. We'll start with the baseball life ones. Do you have this pulled up too, Josh?
Yeah, I got it. So we'll just go back and forth.
Yeah,
again.
We'll just go back and forth. And these are short ones. You don't have to answer them. 5 seconds or less. If you're like, you can just say pass and we'll go to the next one. Okay.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Baseball life. Favorite MLB player growing up?
Cal Ripken Jr., who I was named after.
Easy peasy.
You can't. It doesn't
We
get
should have
any
ended
easier than
that.
that. Best baseball memory as a player.
Probably getting that hit to break the all-time record at Georgia College.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, where is that baseball right now?
Yeah.
It is at my parents' house, actually.
Hey, take us through that at bat, actually. Like, because
do you remember that?
obviously you know that this could be the at bat. Like, did it take you like a few games because you were like
You were
worried
nervous?
about it,
Yeah,
and
he was nervous
or
about it.
like what happened?
No, I actually
He went 4 for 4.
Yeah, of course.
no, that was a 3-hit game.
Oh, excuse me. Excuse me. Sorry.
So actually, well, what really got up, Friday night we were playing Augusta at Georgia College, and I had already got my 300th hit that night. So I was kind of, relaxed a little bit. But when Augusta found out that I was chasing, the record, I got the first. I was 2 hits away. I was 2 for 2, and then they hit me the next 2 at bats.
Of course they did.
And then fastball first pitch, hit it off the wall for a triple.
There you go.
So,
Hey, best way to hit the breaking ball, hit the fastball first pitch, right?
Don't
It's
miss
a
the
fastball.
fastball.
I love it.
I will live and die by that.
Hey, it works in college. It works to break records, boys.
I
So
mean,
pay
we're
attention.
talking about a dude who's got 300 college career
It's
hits.
unbelievable.
So, yeah, there's a little bit of truth to it. All right, next question. Favorite stadium you've ever been to or played in?
I like what's the name of that park? The Green Jackets new one in North Augusta.
Yeah, I've never been there.
I have never been there.
It's pretty new, isn't it?
Yeah, it's brand new. We got to play there a couple times. So
Nice.
Wow, good
Awesome.
answer there. I like that one.
Nice. All right, wood bat or metal bat? Which one would you pick up if you given the chance?
I love the wood, but the metal just sounds so much better to me.
Okay. All right.
It's fun, especially if you've hit with a wood bat for a while. Just picking up a metal bat.
You're like, wow.
Yeah,
Okay, let's
you're
go.
like, I still got it.
It does give you give
Yeah.
you a sense of like confidence when you barrel it up with a metal bat.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I hit BP with my 7th graders on a 300-foot field.
Yeah,
I
dude,
love
you're supposed to let me know when you guys do that, and I'll come. You got to let me know next time that happens. All right. Least favorite drill to run at practice?
Is this like as a player?
Yeah, whatever you want, player or coach. You can pass if you want to.
As a player, I hated bunt defense.
Dude, I knew you were gonna say that. Me too. Oh, dude, there's
I
nothing.
hated it.
Dude, there's nothing worse, especially if you're that second baseman just sprinting to first
covering
base.
the bag. Yeah, I was running sprints.
That's
yeah,
hilarious.
dude, that's my answer too for that one. I knew you'd say that. Love that.
What is a walk-up song if you were playing today, or from the best one that you've had in your career? So either or.
I had remember My Name by Mano. That was a good one. And then Everywhere We Go by Sunreal. That was my Making Bacon one. That was a good
Those are
one.
making bacon.
Okay.
I love it.
Yeah, we had Luther Williams bumping. I thought it was
Love
gonna
that.
fall apart.
Love that. Go Bacon. All right. Would you rather? I don't know if this one is. We'll say it from a player's perspective. Would you rather have a pitcher's duel or a slugfest if you're playing?
Ooh.
I'd rather have a pitcher's duel.
I like
Okay.
that. I like that. I think
Yeah, 'cause
that might be my answer.
It's more
too.
intense.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
it's like nervy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You really find out what you're made of.
I think
Yeah.
only baseball players who like really gritty baseball players understand that, because like the average fan is like, oh, this is a snooze fest, but like guys on the field are like, no, this is like this is it. Like this is where, like real moments are made, right? Because like when it's a slugfest, it's like everybody's having a moment right now.
Mhm.
But when it's a pitcher's duel, it's like, well, who's gonna crack first? Like who's gonna break through the ice? So.
Yeah, I remember when I was in college, I had a guy, Wayne Wages. He was a senior my freshman year, I think. He's a lefty pitcher. It was an in-conference game. I think it was against App State, and he went 8 1/3 perfect. We were in the ninth inning. He was 2 outs away from a perfect game. I was playing short, and this dude hit a ground ball at the middle, and I laid out for it, and I couldn't get to it.
Oh,
Like
that's
I'll never
heartbreaking.
forget. Like I was this close to laying out and catching this ground ball and trying to throw the guy to first,
man.
and I couldn't get there. And I was like, no.
You ruined it.
You
It was a hit. All right, it was not an
Yeah,
error. It was not an
it was a
error. I
clean
laid
hit.
out. I've
Clean
never
hit.
laid out harder for a ground ball in my life.
Oh, I
than
bet.
for that
Well,
one.
I bet.
and kind of piggybacking off of that, I think you really find out as a player what you're made of, because like in those situations, I know I was always like, please hit it to me. Please, I
right.
want to do something. Please hit it to me.
Yeah, it's a separator. You're either one of those guys where it's like, please don't hit it to me. Please don't hit it to me. Or you're like, I want the ball. Like, I
Right.
got this.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it is a
dog.
great separator for sure. Cal, what's like your favorite coaching moment so far?
Probably winning that county championship. Honestly,
Yeah, that's an easy one.
because
Yeah.
we were down 4-2 in the top of the seventh. Got 5 hits on 6 pitches in a row.
Yeah.
And then
Also,
took the
funny
lead.
story. My wife was in labor in the hospital, and I was gonna go watch it. I was gonna go watch their game.
Yeah, you had a whole day
And
planned.
I was watching
You were
Game
gonna hit
Changer,
Tyrese
and my wife, my wife was in labor. I was at the hospital watching. I was like, they came back and won. Amber was like, I don't care. So yeah, that was funny.
That's hilarious.
All right, one baseball superstition you still believe in, if there is one.
I had a bunch as a player.
Oh
But,
boy,
Yeah, I was very superstitious as a player. But
give us just one. You don't have to give us all of them.
so I taped my wrist when from high school all the way through college. And
Yeah.
always wrote something. Yeah, Josh remembers. I always wrote something on the underside of my tape that for me to look at. So whether that was a Bible verse or, something that I needed to remind myself that day, it was always right there on my wrist where I could just constantly look back at it.
Yeah,
I love it.
love that.
But then my bag also had to be, my bag and my helmet also had to be in the same exact spot. At least
Okay.
at home.
There you go.
Mhm.
Leave
There
it
you
home.
go.
Yeah, those are
So-
good.
Turf or grass? Which one do you prefer?
Oh, I'm a grass. I
All
love
natural
playing on
guy.
the turf. Yeah, but
I would I played in North Georgia,
All turf field,
all turf field.
really nice.
I'm playing on turf and less the natural surface. If the natural surface is nice,
Yeah,
I prefer the natural surface. But if it's just like your run of the mill normal college,
turf.
I'll take turf.
yeah,
I'll
no,
take the
for
turf.
90% of natural fields, you'd
Yeah.
rather have turf.
Yeah.
But for that 10%, you're
It's
like,
like, no, grass
"Oh, this
all
is
day."
it.
Yeah.
I remember playing at Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech was like
Just immaculate.
always immaculate.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. Glove flip or bare hand play? Which one would you rather make?
I was a big glove flip guy.
Hey,
Love that.
I love it. Oh, I missed one. Day game or night game?
Day. I can't see at night.
Yes.
Same, dude. I hate hitting at night.
Friday night games were rough for me.
So
Yeah.
like I wasn't bad at night. The only problem is that day transitioning into night as an outfielder
Ooh, the
when they had
twilight.
to when
Yeah.
the infielders had to point it out, hated that.
Yeah.
Absolutely hated
Well,
it.
my worst thing was the shadows.
Yeah,
especially
oh,
when you get a shadow like
Mhm.
in between the pitcher's mound and the plate.
Right.
I don't know what it was. I just
Yeah,
couldn't
because
do
the
it.
young guys don't really know. Because like when you're playing in a stadium, you have the grandstand that often creates those shadows. At a lot of these other parks, you're not going to really get shadows because
Yeah.
everything's open.
There's nothing like the ball going from light to dark
Yeah,
to light.
it's
And then you
unbelievable.
have to
Yeah.
hit it.
and,
It's so tough.
if it's a guy that can carve,
yeah, just
it's
throwing
chalk it
an
up.
88 mile an hour slider.
Yeah.
You're trying
Chalk
to pick
it
up
up.
the pin, all you just see is a ping pong ball, and you're like, oh, well,
No shot.
Yeah.
Good one. All right, here. Let me see. I lost the questions. All right, we're gonna go to off the field questions now. We got a few more, and then we'll have some more coaching questions, and then we'll move on. Coffee or energy drink?
I'm a coffee guy.
Coffee guy.
Coffee.
I drank 3 cups today.
Oh, geez. You're a real coffee guy.
Crush.
Oh, yeah.
So what's your go-to cheat meal? Like after a
Yeah,
long
actually,
day, what's your go?
Boneless wings and things, hot honey mustard on the wings and the tenders.
Okay.
Zaxby's guy.
I love it.
Yeah, I'm
Good old
Zaxby's
Southern boy
guy.
there.
Very good. What's your hidden talent no one would expect?
I'm a secret pro ping pong player.
Ooh.
Ooh.
So if you weren't coaching, is that what you would be doing, or would you be doing something
No.
else?
No, still probably
He said
do
no.
ping pong.
What would that thing be then?
Yeah, that was our next question. If you weren't coaching, what would you be doing?
Fishing.
Love that.
Yeah,
We got somebody in the chat right now. Brantley, where you at? We got some guys who are on their middle school fishing teams.
Yep.
And you know
Oh,
what? You know what stinks about that is I think they started that the year after I graduated high school.
Yeah.
I would have been on the
I
high
was
school
on it
fishing
in
team
high
so
school.
fast.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah,
Perry.
you might have got a year on it or something.
Mm-hmm.
Perry probably started sooner. All right. It was really funny too when did you hear how he got quiet? We were talking about the hidden talent. He goes, I didn't know what you were about to say.
Yeah, me neither. I was like,
this could go anywhere. All right. Next one. One place on your travel bucket list.
I want to go to Yellowstone.
Dude, that's a great answer.
Yeah.
I
That's
want to go to
beautiful.
Yellowstone.
That's a great answer.
I tried to get Caroline to go out there for her honeymoon, but she said no.
She said no.
Come on, Caroline.
So, what's your dream car?
Probably the same truck I have now.
Love
there you
that.
go.
I'm simple.
Simple man. Favorite
simple.
sports movie of all time?
I like The Rookie.
A rookie.
Okay. That's a good one.
Okay. All right.
Very
So,
good.
yeah, we got a few more just in-depth coaching questions for you.
All right, yeah, that ends our lightning round.
Yeah,
there.
that was
Cal,
our
I thought you
lightning
did a great
round.
job,
Yeah,
man.
that was
well
beautiful.
done.
Thank
He
you.
didn't know any of those
Thank you.
questions, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Just
No.
crushed it.
It's off the rip.
Off the rip. I love it. But yeah, you did a good job. So, what is one mistake you often see young players make that's completely fixable with the right mindset?
So one thing, especially in younger players, that I see a lot of times is they tie their confidence to results instead of the effort and preparation that they had beforehand. I mean, you see it now. A kid goes 0 for 3, and they're like, oh, "Man, I'm terrible," you know. But really, if you can, I mean, we all know we played enough baseball. Baseball's a game of failure. I mean, if you hit 300, you're gonna be in the Hall of Fame. So if you shift that mindset more so to controlling what you can control, which is your attitude, your hustle, and your focus. I mean, it changes everything, and I mean, and also that goes into your body language, which is very important for me. So if any of my players are listening, we will have good body language
There you go.
this summer.
Mhm.
But yeah, really just kind of controlling what you can control, and really take your confidence in your preparation and your effort leading up to it, and not the results.
Yeah, for sure. I think we say sometimes focus on the process.
Yeah,
And not
absolutely. That's
the
what I was going to
product.
bring up is like you have
Yeah.
to enjoy the process. I often say in life, like you have to enjoy the journey because a lot of people just want the results, which is essentially just getting the trophy without working for the trophy. But you have to enjoy the journey towards the trophy, towards the trophy, towards winning, or else it doesn't really mean anything. It's not, purposeful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great answer right there. That's a really good one. What's one in-game decision or ability you think is underappreciated or often misunderstood by parents or players in baseball?
So I think I'm going to hit you over the curveball on this one.
Okay.
What you got?
Base running.
Okay. Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
learn so much about how much a player knows the game just by watching them on
Yeah.
base.
Yeah. And I
No
mean,
doubt.
and the thing is, I mean, knowing, and it's also knowing yourself as well as a player, because it's knowing, like for Josh, if the catcher even dropped to his knees, Josh was going to be safe at second.
Mhm.
You're right.
For me, I had to let it kick off a little bit.
Yeah, I was probably even slower than you, so you're good.
I mean, just knowing when you can take the extra base, being able to, like we were talking about with the hit and runs, knowing to look in, finding the ball, knowing where the ball's at, knowing where your outfielders are. I think that's one thing that a lot of these kids don't understand yet is when you're on second base, you turn and I used to turn and look at where the outfielders were before I even got off the bag every single time.
Yeah.
So I
no
knew,
doubt.
hey, ball in the outfield, can I score here? Can I not? You know, and it's also knowing the other team. You know, you got to know the arms. You got to watch them beforehand.
Yeah,
you know,
knowing
just
the
a lot
arms
of
is
stuff
big.
that,
Yeah.
just. But yeah, definitely, I think base running is not talked about enough because base running can win you ball games. But
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
I'll tell you.
That's another great answer.
I'll tell you another thing that's underrated. We used to talk about this all the time at North Georgia. Like we would actually have a base running like group during BP sometimes. And it would be like, hey, read if this ball is going to be down or not. That is so crucial, especially in the college game when you gotta find ways to just continue to score runs because you can never, like Cal knows this in the Peach Belt, you can never have enough runs. Never.
That's baseball.
Never.
That's every level of baseball of all time.
Like I'm pretty sure one time we were at Georgia Southern and we scored 8 runs in the first inning and lost the game. We scored 8 runs in the first inning and lost the game.
Now, my 14, you guys know what that's like, right, boys?
Yeah. I bet they do.
Yeah, no, that's a great answer. I think maybe next podcast, instead of like we did catching tonight, we could do base running.
Base running, yeah.
And like what you just said, reading the ball and knowing where, like if it's down, like what Cal said, that comes down to do you know where the outfielders are playing?
Right.
Yeah, no, I have an entire like checklist of stuff that I teach guys if they're like good base runners. Like when you're at first base, here's like 10 things you have to do. Like you have to know where their outfielders are. You have to know how many outs there are. When I was a good base runner, when I was playing, I would always get a small lead the first couple of pitches. And before I got my real lead, I'd peek in. My head is towards the pitcher, but my eyes are doing this because I'm looking in. I'm like, oh, he just put down a curveball. And so like I'm looking for bad catchers. Like if he puts curveball down, I'm gone. I'm stealing second base every time. And right, you have to know there's just so many things like that go through your checklist of like you have to know where the good arms are in the outfield. Like if the ball is through the 4-hole, I'm going to third, first to third. No matter what.
That's another thing we're going to have to talk about, the art of stealing signs one day. Because I know personally between us in high school, we were freaking nasty at it.
Oh yeah.
Our team in general, but yeah, there's a whole different side of the game. So we're gonna have to put that on our list as well.
Yeah. No, I love that answer, Cal. Base running. That's so good.
Yeah. So Cal, how do you define a high baseball IQ in a player, and how do you help build that?
So, to me, a high baseball IQ is somebody that's always thinking 2 plays ahead. They're able to anticipate, communicate where they need to, make their communications. Like I know I was always at second, I was always talking to my shortstop. I was talking to my first baseman, every single play we were talking to my outfielders, which, luckily in college we had the tendency charts, in our hat. So I was able to talk to them about that and stuff. Understanding situations, being where they're supposed to be when they're supposed to be there because they've already thought about it.
Yeah.
And also being able to make, mid at bat adjustments, be able to make adjustments on the fly. Like I know for me, one of my favorite things to do as a middle infielder was I knew all of our signs, like that our catcher did. So, I mean, I knew what pitch it was. Every pitch our pitcher threw, I knew what it was. And I was able to position accordingly. So I think that's one thing that a lot of middle infielders, especially this age, don't do that they should, because you'll be surprised how many times that'll help you out.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm so biased. Yeah, I'm so biased, like you said, like with it being a middle infield background, like just all the things you're saying, like making like light bulbs go off in my head. Like I got to know what my pitcher has gripped at all times, because I got to know whether or not I can flash my glove for a pickoff. Because if he's got changeup gripped, he's going to throw it into center field every time. So many little things like that, some of the nuanced things. But yeah, baseball IQ, it's interesting too, because like Josh would have a different answer from, me or you with our middle infield background. But there's so many ways. And like as a coach, I think the less I have to talk, like, is a representation of my team's IQ. Like when I'm hoarse after 2 games, we got to work on IQ, But yeah, a lot of good IQ stuff there.
I like what you said there, Cal, because you're kind of alluding to something that I often preach is don't react to a situation, anticipate. Essentially, already understand what you would do in a given situation. And so you have this situation at hand, whether it's like 2 outs, runner on second, you automatically know, like for me as an outfielder, I'm playing center field. If this ball like hits a ground ball up the middle, like I'm hard and low home, right? Because I want to try to cut this guy off at the plate, but I'm throwing it low because unless it's like a do or die situation, it's got to be in a position to where my first baseman can cut it off and, cut this guy down who's trying to advance to second if need be. And so those are just different things that you have to be thinking about. And if you haven't thought about that when the play happens and you're like trying to react, you might just go, sail it or, throw it to the wrong guy, like, or just miss the ball in general because you're just thinking about too much. And so you have to anticipate so that your body can just, naturally take over and you can just go be athletic and just go make a play so that, you're able to play more free and you're able to have more success.
Yeah.
Well, and one of the best quotes I've ever heard, and it still stuck to me. I don't know. Don't quote me on it because I don't know who said it.
Chat, get ready to flame him in the chat, everybody.
But it said, you have to make thinking part of every single rep because smart players are trained, not born.
That's good.
I like it.
That sounds good to me. I don't know if I've heard it exactly phrased that way, but that sounded great.
Yeah.
I love it.
It sounded beautiful to me.
Good stuff. If nobody claims that, that could be Cal's quote.
This is Cal's quote.
Yeah.
There we go.
We'll credit him with that.
There we go.
Very good. All right. Did we have one more? We kind of already. Let's go ahead and do this last one. With your middle infield background, Cal, what are some of the defining characteristics of elite infielders?
So when I look at middle infielders, and I get real picky because I know you do too, Justin. Because that's what we did. First thing I look at, footwork. Do they have good footwork? Are they lazy? Do they have lazy feet? Because one step can be the difference. In your case, a perfect game or not, but
that's right.
Just had to.
We'll pretend like my first step was good. All right? We don't know. Maybe it was bad. I don't know. I had to go back and time travel, check it out.
But yeah, that first step and your prep stuff. Everything plays into: are you going to make that play, or are you not going to make that play? Kind of second thing is, I say glove confidence, because you can tell when the ball is hit if that player wants the ball hit to them or not. It's the difference between oh crap, and okay, let's go. You can tell the players that really trust their hands. And then honestly, the biggest, and this is the biggest pet peeve of mine for middle infielders, is you have to have a great internal clock.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, it will drive me insane.
That's right.
Because I will be screaming, get rid of it, or you got time.
Yeah.
Don't make me do that. Go. Just know your runners.
That's right. Baseball IQ. Know your runner. Know where you're at in the lineup. Know how much time you got. Yeah, we could also have an entire segment or podcast on middle infield play for sure. Yeah. Q said your quote sounds like Nick Saban. Sounds pretty good to me too. It's a good guy to quote. He was a decent coach, right?
Yeah, just only the best college coach of all time.
He's all right.
That's all.
We'll give it to him.
All right, guys. So yeah, Cal's going to be with us again, like I mentioned earlier, through the Q&A. So we'll give you a few more minutes to send in your questions. I'm going to get into our Profalytics little section next. Before I dive into what I'm going to talk about for the next like 2 or 3 minutes, Coach Justin, remind the people of our competition and show them what they get if they win.
Yep. We got the shirt I'm wearing right here, guys. If you want this shirt, drop a question. We've already got like, I don't know, 7 or 8 questions we're going to
I got
talk
2
about.
saved from the chat. So
Yeah,
y'all
we got a
continue to
few.
put them in the chat as well. And yeah, let's get into this Profalytics section. So today, big thing we're going to be talking about is carry rating. We introduced kind of Profalytics last week. So I'm going to show you the formula. I mean, I know a lot of you probably don't even care, but we're gonna show you exactly what goes into it, so you kind of understand like what you need to do in order to be successful at the carry rating. So it's on base plus slugging plus like your quality at bat percentage, subtracting your strikeout percentage. So striking out does not help your carry rating, and divide it by 1.85, which is basically the benchmark. So like when all of that stuff that we just mentioned is added together, if you're at 185, you're basically 199 overall player,
You're a stud.
essentially, in our book. And so that's exactly what makes up carry. And as you see, it is your superstar index. It measures how much a player carries the offense compared to an elite benchmark, which is 1.85, excuse me, representing a 99 overall caliber high school draft prospect. So that's essentially the scale that we are measuring at. And now you have the tier guide. So when we give you your carry rating and you see them flashing on the screen, you'll kind of understand, okay, this is how we are ranking and rating you guys accordingly. So 100 plus, because you can have over 100 if you're just killing it and you over that 1.85 benchmark. That's a superstar, just national radar material, essentially. And then you got 85 to 99, high impact, like you're college ready. So you see like Parker Landrum, who just went and played as probably I think he has the highest carry rating in the program history as of right now. And I think it's at like 86 for both seasons that he played. And so as you see, he's like right there, college ready. And as you see, he's going on to play college baseball. And then 60 to 84 is kind of where you want to be like that reliable starter. And that's where a lot of our, key pieces in our lineup will live. Now, if you're under 60, don't be alarmed. Honestly, if you're over 50, I think you're doing pretty solid, especially with the limited reps that you have. But you want to definitely be above 60 in order to be, considered like a developing weapon, right? And that gives us a good gauge of like, just how well that you're doing. Do you have anything to add?
No, that was good.
Cool.
It really breaks it down. Like, it helps me understand too.
Yeah.
Because like I know we've had the scale before. But yeah, and then being able to put the number with some of the players who have been really successful in the past definitely helps.
Right. Yeah. And so that's, I'm going to be breaking down, one metric per week as of right now. So that when we start, flashing our, top leaders in carry, top reading, leaders in, this and that stat, you'll understand exactly what goes into them and exactly, why we're even, showing you that stat in the first place. I got one more thing, before, we move on to the Q&A. We are going to be introducing something new to the podcast. So we do the top 10 intros and outros, but now that, also another thing that we didn't mention is at Intersquads, we're going to start doing the stat sheet. So
That's right.
Stats are, they're hot, they're live starting next week. And so come ready to, get a good start off to your stat line for the summer. But anyway, we're going to have 3 different teams. Basically, these are the top 15 players. We're calling them like the all-profit teams. Top 15 players and, particular categories will make the team and get recognized every single week. And so let me see. Let me cue it up. So starting with the Star Command. All right.
Love
so
it.
the Star
Love it.
Command is the top 15 highest in SWAR. Which we briefly mentioned last week. We'll probably break down SWAR like next week of just what goes into that. Also, we got the Coast Guard. Those are the dogs who have the highest bolt, which is our basically leaders in ability to get on base. And then last but not least, we have the Bomb Squad, and that's the highest in blast, which is the metric that rates like power and different things of that nature. And so we'll be going through the top 15 players and recognizing you guys, and you'll get to see, the leaders and where they rank and what their, ratings are in each category. So, I want to be, part of the Bomb Squad, or I want to be part of the Star Command. So that's what's coming down the pipe, guys. So just wanted to, just let you know about what's coming starting next week. So yeah.
Love it. Yeah. We're going to start keeping stats at Intersquads. So y'all better be ready.
Perfect.
Very
Also,
good.
Quentin, they said it's Q Senior.
Yes,
so that's
Q
Quentin's
Senior.
dad.
We apologize.
Yeah.
Treated you like Q Junior.
Yeah. That's great. So we welcome in Cal back into the fold here. Let's start with some of the questions that we have from the audience here. So this is the one that I have.
All right. Yeah. And Cal, when we go through these, y'all remember the ones that stand out, because we got to pick a winner.
Yes.
So
this one says home run derby from Q Senior.
this is Q's dad. Yeah.
Q's dad. Who you guys got? He said, LOL. Because I know he wants us to pick Quentin. And honestly, Quentin put on a good show last year. I think he got he was in the top 3 showdown, right?
Yeah, he was definitely in the top 3 in the home run derby.
Yeah, so it was like him, Tyrese, and who's the other guy that was in that last round?
Was it JT? I don't know.
It might have been JT.
Britton Baggerly, maybe.
I don't think it was I think it might have been JT.
I
But
can't
JT,
remember.
was definitely
Was
top
it
4
Finley Ward? Maybe, I don't know.
2 years ago. So JT, definitely, somebody to look out for, going into this season for the home run derby.
Yeah.
But Quentin, I would probably pick him because he has the experience, and he almost won as a underclassman last year. So
Yeah. We'll let Cal go last. I got a couple of picks. This was
Okay.
easy for me. I mean, I got to see him hit yesterday, but Janaris Reeves and
I
Jackson
forgot
Thompson
about him.
both were hitting balls really hard yesterday or Saturday.
Is Jackson Thompson the lefty?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So he's got some thump. I don't even know if
Yeah,
Cal,
especially if we're at Mercer now.
Yeah.
Jackson Thompson might play.
Yeah,
Hey,
the lefties.
That short, that short porch right
Yeah.
there.
Cal, did any hitters? You might not even know names yet, but did any hitters from the practice stand out to you as having some potential to hit homers?
There were a couple. I'm still learning names, so I'll have to see their face to be able to remember.
No, you're good.
But,
That's I mean, you only seen him one day.
No, there was oh my gosh, what was from Dublin? Goes to Dublin High School.
Tyrese?
Might have been Landon.
Oh
Horn.
no, you're talking about recent
Landon.
players. Sorry.
No, it was Landon.
Landon's got some thump.
He was smoking it. Yeah, he is.
That's
he
a
has
good
some
pick.
thump.
I like it.
that.
That's kind of a little sleeper.
Yeah, and for anybody who doesn't know, All-Star Weekend, we're planning to be at Mercer. We have a home run derby every year, and it's a lot of fun. So that's where that question came from. So
But also, don't worry, guys. If you're not a power hitter, we do have a bunt derby as well. So
bunt derby for all the speed guys.
yes. I forgot to hit my Q&A thing. So yep, we are back here, and let's go to our next question. Brantley says, as a younger player, what are some things I can look for if I'm being set up for a pickoff as a base runner? That's a very good question.
Yeah, that's a good question. So he's asking this from the base runner's perspective.
Mhm.
Well, one thing I always looked for is, we talked about stealing signs earlier. When I got on first base, when I was playing in college and in pro ball, now this is high level. Like, most of our players probably aren't ready for this yet, but I would get a lead about this big as the pitcher is getting his sign. So I'm not really getting my lead until after he's gotten his sign and he's coming set, and then I would get off a little further.
Mhm.
But my head, like I said earlier, my head would be on the pitcher, but my eyes are on the catcher. And I kind of have to use my peripherals to see if the pitcher picks when I have that small lead, or I have to trust my first base coach to say back.
Right.
All right. And so the reason I do that is all you got to do is look for this. Most of the time, this is the pickoff sign from catchers. A lot of times I know they're going to pick because I see the catcher put the pickoff sign.
Right.
down.
And you're like, okay, whatever.
Now, Brantley, if you're still listening, Brantley, at the 14U age group, catchers probably are not calling the pickoffs. It's probably just coming from a pitcher who's like, yeah, I guess I'll pick off here. And then at that point, you just have to trust your athleticism, and you have to look for what a right-handed pitcher's left foot does. And so when that left foot comes up into the air, then you know like his leg kick is kind of initiated. And so you're really just watching their feet. And that's when it just comes down to like, as you get your lead, are you athletic? Are you in a spot where you can dive back quickly? And after that, it's really just about watching the feet of the pitcher, because most of the time the feet have to move first before they pick off.
Yeah.
And so you're looking for the feet to move, and then you just learn as you do it more and more and more, and you practice this, and you do it in practice, like, and you get reps, and you watch big league pitchers, you just figure out the things to look for. And so like with a lefty, you can look for his foot, his leg lifting foot to cross the rubber, because if he crosses over on the backside, he can't pick, right? He's got to go home. And so there's a few different things you learn to look for, but really it's all about reading their body, reading their feet, and then reacting appropriately.
Yeah, I think that was all good stuff. I wouldn't, from a physical standpoint, I wouldn't add anything. But another thing that you can think about is guys' rhythm, right? Because not only will that help you to steal bases, but understand, like, is he like a 2-look guy? Is he a 1-look guy? Like, and that goes back to, like, unless like you're a leadoff hitter or the first guy on base, when there's other people on base, see his rhythms. Like when he picks off, like what does he do? Because generally he's going to do the same thing every single time. So a lot of times what will happen is a guy will be a 2-looker, right? 1, 2, goes to the plate, right? But when he picks off, he might do something different. He might go 1 and then like try to hold. And you know that, oh, he's likely going to pick here because he's broken his rhythm. And, you know, as humans, we're all creatures of habits. And so you want to look for, you know, the pitcher's habits and his rhythms and what he does. Like, does he fumble with his glove? Different things like that. And those are all little things that just raise your baseball IQ. And I know that's a lot of things that we just threw at you, but those are just, you know, just pick one thing to, you know, think about and get better at each time you get on base. And then you'll have, you know, just more and more things to add to your repertoire as a base runner.
Yep. Cal, you got anything to add to that?
And off of what Josh was talking about, I mean, I can't tell you how many bases that I stole easily because I knew what the pitcher did every single pitch.
Right.
Tendency.
I mean, whether I was, his tendencies, I was watching in the dugout, you know, and I was one of those guys that when I was on deck, I didn't take any swings. I just sat there and studied the pitcher and, you know, figured out what he was throwing for strikes, what he's not, because I did the same thing that you did, Justin. I looked at the signs at first base.
Mm-hmm.
The only catcher that was never able to do it was Andres Perez because he's 7 foot tall.
That guy's a dog. He was my groomsman actually. So love that guy.
The only one.
Yeah,
because his legs, you know, stuck out.
Yeah, he was so big. He was 6'7", bro. Just unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, he was almost my height in the squat. So
yeah.
But yeah, I always loved seeing what they were. I mean, because I was kind of like you. I saw a breaking ball, I was gone.
Mm-hmm.
But also kind of what you were saying, watching the feet. I mean, the feet will tell you everything. I mean, I know for a lefty, for me, I always like watching the front knee because if it tilts, you're good. If it doesn't tilt, he's probably going to pick. Because most left-handed pitchers, their knee will tilt towards the plate when they're going to the plate. So just kind of all the same stuff.
Yeah. No, a lot of good stuff there. The tendency stuff is huge. Like, UCLA, like they made it popular years ago when the timing came out. Like, oh, he goes on U or C or L every single time, right? The timing of when
Right.
they go to home, you can anticipate it, you can vault it, and you can get a good jump and you can be safe a lot of the time. We need to get my brother on this podcast. What was he like? He was second in the ACC last year in stolen bases.
Yeah.
He did get thrown out. Shout out to Cameron. He did get thrown out in his first Frontier League stolen base attempt.
I love it.
What was that, Saturday night? He did get thrown out.
Hey, you know what would be good if we got him and Jacob on the same pod? My
Dude,
brother
I'm trying to get everybody on
was
the pod.
almost the he is the all-time leader of
he's got the
stolen
school
base.
record.
Yeah. Almost 100 bags.
Dude, yeah, we can get those two guys on the podcast. We'll just do nothing but base running.
Yeah,
and
that'll be
between the two
sick.
of them, it'll be like 200 career college.
Yeah, it's
bases.
unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, love that.
But so we do have another question. I know you had a couple questions.
Yeah, I got like 4.
But yeah,
or 5.
we have a good question in the chat. But before we get to that, I want to make sure we hit some of your questions.
Yeah,
as well.
and Cal, if you need to run, let us know. Like you can hop off
I'm
whenever.
Awesome.
Baby's asleep.
Let's rock.
Very good. All right, this one comes from Dustin Coonsey. So Dawson Coonsey's. Well, it actually says it's from the family. I don't know who came up with it, but this
Okay.
is a good one. What is the best piece of advice you've ever received from a coach, and how has it influenced you?
Ooh. Okay, so mine is Coach Brett from high school. Because he always used to say this, but I still live by it all the time to this day. He was like, attitude and effort. And I know like that's all he preached was like attitude and effort. Those are two things that you can always control at all the time, right? And that doesn't just apply to baseball. It applies to life too, because you can't always control what happens to you or the situation that you're in, but you can make the most of it by having a good attitude and going about getting out of that situation or advancing that situation with your effort. And I think that's just it's simple, but it's so profound to live by. And you'll avoid a lot of heartache and a lot of stress if you just have a good outlook even when things aren't perfect, and you go about giving it your all.
Yeah, Cal talked about that earlier. Focusing on what you can control is
Right.
huge in baseball and in life. I mean, there's always going to be stuff that's out of our control. Yeah, good stuff. I'm not going to be able to beat that answer. Cal, you got something?
So mine's right along the same line. So for all the guys that still don't know me, my dad coached high school baseball for probably 20 years at Perry High School and Houston County. And one thing that he always had, and I still live by it, he said to play hard, but hard means hustle, attitude, respect, and discipline. So if you can play hard and play with all 4 of those, you'll be successful.
Yeah,
I love that.
love that. That's a good one. I'd have to really think about that. I don't know. I'd have to think about the best piece of advice.
Yeah, especially with like all the coaches that you've had. and
Yeah,
everything. that's a tough
I
one.
might be better at like thinking of a coach and be like, this was the best advice that coach
That
gave.
coach gave
And then
me particularly,
that might
yeah.
be tough. All right, I got a couple others though.
It's a fastball.
Yeah, don't miss a fastball. That's my answer. All right, this one comes from Mr. Lenny Perry. This is Tripp's dad.
Okay, awesome.
What current or former player has hit the most home runs in summer and or fall league play for the Coastal Stars? I'm assuming.
Summer and well, I think it's Tyrese. No.
I don't think so.
No,
This-
Tyrese only hit 2.
I don't know.
Are you talking about combined? Or are you
We're
talking
talking about career Coastal Stars. Who's got the most home runs?
Oh, yeah.
I don't see. You see,
We would be taking a wild guess. I guess.
yeah, because we got to get Trent on here because Trent. I mean, there were several years where I was still playing. I wasn't coaching.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's been some good players.
Yeah. Matthew Thigpen
is up there. Tyler Nelson is probably up there.
Oh, yeah,
here
Tyler
we got him in
Nelson.
the chat. We got Coach Trent in the chat. Edom. I don't even know how to say his last name.
Oh no!
I'll put
Yeah, that guy was a
Adam.
monster.
He was a
Yes.
beast. He's still playing. I think he's still playing somewhere.
Yeah,
I can't keep
that
up
guy-
with him. He's
that
at
guy-
Townsend University or something.
That guy was built like a GI Joe.
Yeah, so he's got a handful for sure. That kid was massive.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think between those 3 guys, Adam, Tyler Nelson, Matthew Thigpen hit several.
Yeah.
I don't know any other names.
Yeah, I mean, before that, we weren't hitting many home runs, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So
No, those are 3 good ones for
Yeah.
sure. So maybe one of those 3 guys. Let me see. I got some others. You have any?
that,
think
I
we
mean,
just-
those would probably be my guys. Other than, I mean, I don't know. Tyrese hit 2 last summer, and yeah, I mean, I would have to agree with Coach Trent there.
Cool. Did you have any other questions? I saw one just
Yes.
popped up. You want to do that one while I find these other ones?
Yeah, I gotcha. So this is from Miss Peterson. She says, where's my button? There it is. Okay. She says, what makes your program stand out above the rest? So Coastal Stars. And one of them is the podcast that we're doing.
I think so. I think this
Yeah,
podcast
I
is
think-
pretty cool.
I think that's is just one of the best things, because it's not just like we're trying to like do this to promote like our thing. We're really just trying to connect with our players, with their families. And because that's the big thing, is like we're trying to create this culture of family. And that's one of the big things that separates us. And I'm not sure if you saw, I think 2 podcasts ago when I interviewed Trent at was it the last tryout or something, or media day? It was at media day.
Yeah.
And he was talking about, one of the big things that separates us is the fact that, we are really, careful about the coaches that we select and about even the players that we, say yes to. It's not necessarily always about talent. It's like, you got to be, a good person as well, because that matters, right? Because we're trying to create this culture of family, and, in order to be a family, you got to, get along. Even when you don't get along, you got to be able to be able and willing to work things out.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he just said in the chat too. The biggest things that stands out is the quality of coaches, specifically in character.
Right.
So I think that's a great answer.
Yep.
Yeah. Good stuff there. We've got a couple of questions that came in from Instagram. If you guys are not following us on Instagram, you guys go do that too. Quick shout out there. We've got some good stuff going on over there, but we had a story where we had, excuse me, a poll, or I don't know what to call it, where you guys could submit an answer. This one comes from Noah Parker.
Oh,
So
Noah
I
Parker,
think this is
yeah.
going to be one of the guys on Cal's team. Cal, did you meet Noah at practice? Do we still have Cal?
Oh, my bad. He's not in, so he's probably talking again here.
Uh-oh. There he
Go
is.
ahead, Noah.
Cal,
Go.
did you meet
God
Noah?
has me muted.
He's got you. Come on. Here we
I'm
go.
at
All
home.
right, we're
Sorry,
back. We're
brother.
good.
I believe I did. Like I said, I got to be able to see his face.
That's fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
it takes some time. Noah's question is, it looks like it's kind of a pick one, this or that question. Player who gets upset after a bad game, or a player who's smiling and doesn't really care?
Ooh.
It's a good one.
I'm going with the. Yeah, it's a tough one.
There's almost a little bit of a balance to it. Like it
Right, yeah.
kind of depends to which degree.
I would have to know the player too.
The player matters. I mean, if I had just had to pick based off of just the info I
The
have in the
surface
question,
level,
to
yeah.
me it'd be like, you got to be invested. If you're not upset,
if you're not
like,
a little bit mad, yeah.
then
Right.
you just think it's a joke. I'd have to go with that one. That would be my preference.
Yes.
But at the same time, there are players who, and I think I was one of these guys. Like, I got frustrated for sure. Like, man, like I was terrible today.
Yeah.
But you also have to be like, always tomorrow. Maybe things didn't go my way, but
Right.
at the same time, you just can't let it spiral. So
Yep. Trent said, "Hard to fix, don't care."
that's well said.
That's very true. That's very true. Cal, you got anything on this?
I kind of agree with you all. There's kind of got to be a balance. I mean, I know I always got frustrated with myself when I played bad, but I never showed it.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think there's some balance of showing your emotion versus not caring and showing that you don't care.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's really well said, because like, yeah, I mean, you can be really mad and upset with yourself, but also having the control to still give your mom a hug after the game. or whatever.
Oh,
like
yeah.
say hello to your grandma who
Or-
came to watch you.
Yeah.
Like,
You got
And
it.
I mean, it's even as simple as, you know, just easily setting your helmet back in the helmet rack, putting the bat back down after you struck out. I
Right.
mean, it may be your third strikeout of the day, but having the same composure that you started the game with at the end of the game.
Yeah, you have to really understand how to put things in proper perspective, right? And so, like, yeah, after the game, you can be mad. Like my mom always used to say, like, you got to just shake that stuff and just keep moving, right? It's like, yeah, like be mad, and then now it's about moving forward. So you have to have this forward thinking mindset of, yeah, like I didn't do my best. I didn't perform at the level that I know I'm capable of performing, but how do I move forward through this, right? And it's the same thing, that the same mindset you have to employ from at bat to at bat, right? It's like if you're just mad that next at bat, or when you go out in the field and you're, so in your head, even if you're not really showing it, but you're still just in your head, like you're going to be prone to make mistakes. And so it's like, yeah, be mad, but also be able to put it in perspective to know, like, okay, like I got to move on. How am I going to be better for my next opportunity? And then look for that next opportunity, which after a game, it's likely the next day if you're playing in a tournament, or if it's, the end of the tournament, then it's like, all right, I got another tournament next week. All right, tomorrow I'm getting back on the tee. I'm getting back to, my drills, doing these things to make me better so that I can set myself up for success for my next opportunity.
Yeah, I think it speaks volumes. Like when I see a kid who's clearly mad, who's clearly frustrated, and he's still like, he's able to compose himself enough
Right.
to like put his equipment down the right way. And that's the beautiful thing about baseball, is like it's so much like life.
Yeah, it just challenges you.
Dude,
yeah.
it's the exact same thing about life. Like there's always going to be stuff that doesn't go your way. And like baseball, if you are going to be successful for a long time and you're going to be a good teammate and you're going to be an organizational guy, like a guy that programs or teams or managers want to come back and play for you some more, like you have to have that composure.
Yeah.
And the same way for your job interview, or, being a husband or whatever the case may be, like you have to be able to step back and compose yourself in those ways.
Right.
So nice. That was a good question.
Yeah, I like that.
Nice one, Noah. All right. Tyler Knight. I think I got a couple more.
Shout out to Tyler.
Tyler Knight hopped on Instagram and said, score predictions for Hoko versus Loganville. He said, I personally got Hoko in 2, possibly a run rule. And then he put
me too.
He put in a little emoji with the eyes going like that.
I have like game 1, I think it's gonna be like 7-8-2 ish. Game 2, I think it's like 10-0, 12-2, something like that.
I don't know. I don't know too much about Loganville, but I know Hoko pretty good. They got a pretty good pitching coach. They got some good arms. So yeah, I mean, I gotta pick Hoko.
I agree with you, but I think Hoko's they're just out for blood this year. It's a revenge tour.
They took care of Pope.
Yeah, and that was the thing. They just gotta. The biggest thing with Hoko is Hoko. Like they just can't beat themselves, and they got to finish the drill, right? And I think if they show up and they put their best foot forward, nobody's gonna beat them this year. And that's just, I think, the reality of how the year's played out. But
yeah. Very good. I think
prediction.
we're Team Hoko here.
Well, we're definitely biased,
yeah,
right?
A little bit,
because we played there. But
I'm like, you got Cal. I think Cal's muted. What did you say, Cal?
You muted yourself that time. Nope, you're still muted.
You're still muted. We can't hear you. No, we can't hear you.
Oh
no, we were doing so good.
What about now? Oh, did you change? Oh, you changed ears, didn't you? Yeah, so I think the mic is still trying to go to the other ear. So you might have the setting on your phone. Let's see if that works. Okay, now look at your settings.
Oh boy.
You should be able to click the microphone settings and see if the microphone is, set there.
All right, it's okay.
So
while he works,
go to the next question.
Yeah, while he works on that, we'll move to the next question. But yeah, I think we're a little biased. for Hoko. But there's
Absolutely.
also, we got the Lowndes, excuse me, we got the Lowndes guys still playing.
Mm-hmm.
We got our Lanier County guys still going too. So shout out to those
Yeah,
Lanier
and
County
the
boys.
CCA guys.
Oh, the CCA guys? Yeah,
yeah.
they're about to get
Luke
started.
Russ,
Gray,
and
Jonathan Rutland, Jonah.
Right, yeah.
Yep, all those
Jonah,
guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got a lot of guys still playing some baseball. Let's move on to the next question I got here from Instagram. This one comes from Clayton Kelly, 17U catcher. Does height restrict you from being scouted?
Yes. Sadly,
does.
it does.
Yeah,
I wish that was the
unfortunately.
case. I wish if you just balled out, then you would be granted and afforded the same opportunities. But, when they see a guy that's bigger than you, taller than you, even if he's like, I guess, mano y mano, not as good at you at that moment, they're probably going to go with that guy because a lot of the philosophy for these coaches is that they'll get you in and they'll be able to like just mold a guy, right?
Mhm.
Like coaches, and that's why you coach, right? You want to see guys blossom in front of you. So you want to essentially have the nicest canvas to paint on, essentially. And so
Yeah,
that's how they kind
well
of
said.
that's kind of how they look at it. And I mean, unfortunately, it comes at the detriment to something you can't control, which is your height.
Right.
Like, I mean, both of us were, smaller guys, and
Yeah,
it's just
and
the
I
way
mean,
it is.
It's kind of one of the themes of tonight is, Clayton, you got to focus on what you can control.
Right.
And your height is not something you can control. I did a little bit of research, though. This is according to AI, so
According
take
to
this with a
AI.
grain of salt. The NCAA Division I average height for catchers, this is Division I, is 6 foot to 6'2".
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right. It said the big league average, this is interesting, is 6'1". So right there along with Division I. But
Right.
we know how good Division I baseball is. NCAA Division II, 5'11" to 6'1", and NCAA D3, NAIA, and JUCO are more like the 5'10" to 6 foot range. And that's according to Chat GPT. And there's obviously exceptions to every rule.
Right.
So, but yeah, it does play a factor, obviously, into the recruiting. And at the end of the day, you got to focus on what you can control. Good news is, if you can have a better pop time than that 6'2" catcher, and you can receive better than him, then I like your chances.
Yeah. So yeah, just keep sharpening your skills. Cal, do we got you back? Nope, not yet. I'll go try.
He's out. We might should we just let him go?
Yeah, Cal.
Cal, thank
We'll
you so
finish it
much
out.
for your time, man. Well, we'll figure out the end of podcast technical difficulties later. You did a great job, man. I appreciate your time. Y'all give it up for Coach Cal. When you
Yep.
see him this weekend, tell him how good he did on the podcast. And we'll get a couple more questions. Cal, I don't know if you can... I want his feedback on which question he thought was the best so far.
Yeah, just either text it or type it in the chat, and we'll get his vote that way.
Yeah. Just let me know what you think.
Perfect. All right,
Um,
Cal. Take care, man.
See you, Cal. Good night, man. Yeah, he crushed it.
Yeah.
Loved it. All right, let's see.
How many more do you got?
I thought I had one more from somewhere. They're kind of coming in from different areas. If I forget your question, guys, I'm sorry. Looks like we got Jeffrey. What's the most important thing to do in between seasons?
Yes. So I know your answer is get in the weight room.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's get bigger and get stronger. Physicality is one of the biggest separators, if not the biggest separator. But yeah, I mean, it depends on the player too.
Mhm.
Some guys need to get smaller,
Yeah, that's
So
true.
it depends on
Yeah.
the player. It's hard to give an answer for what's the most important thing to do in between seasons.
I-
I'm assuming this is Ethan Wheeler's dad, Jeffrey.
I think one of the biggest things is mental reps as well. So like when you're watching, this is something I used to do all the time. When you're watching baseball, and you should be watching baseball, like you see something happen, or you're watching like, how they go about things, like you also need to be visualizing like, oh, like what am I doing in this scenario? And getting those mental reps gives you an advantage when you get out on the field. And so when your baseball IQ has risen and you haven't done anything physical, the next time you step on the field, like I think that's a bonus. So getting mental reps, especially because like after the season, you should take, a little bit of time off, not really touch a baseball, not touch a bat, relax, enjoy your life. but you can always still do mental reps by
Yeah.
just watching the game.
You know, that's what I was about to say. You know, the best way to get mental reps,
Yeah.
and I do this. I remember every summer I do this. It's about the time where we are kind of getting towards the end of our tournaments. We're playing in some of the final tournaments of our season, or
Right.
it's really in June. It's not the final. It's kind of midway. But I'm always like, hey guys, go watch these College World Series games.
Right,
Hey
yeah.
guys, go watch these super regional games, because these college programs, when they're in June,
Mhm.
they are fighting for their lives.
They're all dialed. Yeah.
And they are doing whatever it takes to win.
Mhm.
And so one of the best things you can do in between seasons is watch baseball and study the game and watch college guys and go to a school, go watch a college program play or something, or go to a fall intersquad at a local college or something and watch the game and learn the game. And if this is for Ethan in particular, obviously he's got a lot of growing to do. He's just a smaller guy. I don't know if you know Ethan, Josh, or not. For him specifically, if we're talking about Ethan, I think strength, tons of push-ups, getting bigger, eating a lot, working on his speed with some sprint work. And then I think I've talked to Ethan a little bit about some of his ground ball stuff, getting a lot of ground ball reps, cleaning up a little bit of the double play footwork, I think would help Ethan. I love his swing. He's just got to get a little bit stronger, and he's going to do that. So that's some of the stuff I'd have there for Ethan in between seasons.
Yes. All right, cool. Kenneth, what a question.
Kenneth. Oh boy.
He said, very upset batter charges towards me. Yeah, I don't know what to do with that, Kenneth.
I mean, you don't run, Kenneth.
You definitely
you gotta
don't
stay
run.
in your ground, man.
You do got to stay in your ground. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pure fight or flight there. So I guess we see what kind of a man you are.
Yeah, that's true.
but
I think that's about all the questions we have.
Yeah.
Tell me what your favorite of the night was.
It's tough because I really like the.
There were some good ones. Brantley's about the base running was pretty good.
No, I think that was my favorite, and then we got to the one. Where's the one where I started talking about forward thinking? Who had that question?
Was it the one from Noah about?
Yeah, Noah. So it's.
I like that one a lot.
Yeah, I think I'd have
that
to
one
go
had
with
the
Noah.
best discussion.
Yeah, I think I have to go with Noah. Did Cal send us his answer?
Cal didn't, but if we got 2 votes, then that's a majority.
Yeah, you're right. Majority rules. So
all right, I
shout
think
out to Noah Parker.
Noah Parker with his question regarding being upset or not caring after the game. He's going to go home with a Coastal Stars t-shirt. Nice job, Noah. Thanks everybody for your questions. Appreciate all you guys watching tonight. Appreciate you guys being a part of the Coastal Stars family. Josh, you got anything on the way out?
Yeah, so on the way out, we are going to be flashing up the top active leaders in carry rating. So staying consistent with our Profilytics theme. But yes, we just want to thank you guys. We love you being a part of this family. Continue to build, and good luck to all of our guys who are competing this week. I know we got a couple guys missing Saturday because they are competing. We love to see that. And until next week, we wish you the best. So take care.
See you guys.